Hello, everybody. We're going to have a conversation about AI, about the future, and about the reality. And everybody's talking about it. You know, I was at a Taco Bell the other day, and the the machine or the drive-through answered in AI. I was able to figure that out, and I said to myself, now they got the order wrong, but a live person had to come on, so you still got to have that live person in the background, but it shows me where things are going. What else is going to go to AI, you think, Brother Jeff? And please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Jeffrey Sam, and I've been working with technology, entrepreneurial wise for many, many years. I remember started programming when I was 13 in a language called BASIC. And ever since then, I've been catching all these innovations, trying to learn as much as I can and offer my services to the public. So I use AI, speaking of the topic today, just like most of us, almost every day of my life, as far as the last few months, perhaps even the last couple of years, a few years now, with some graphic work that I do because I use Photoshop a lot, and Photoshop has Adobe, the company, has integrated AI. Microsoft integrated AI. Of course, we have ChatGPT that's becoming more of use. And with that being said, to answer your question, we're going to be having AI in every area of life, no matter where you go, from Taco Bell to the laundromat to the grocery store to our workplace. We're using AI. So I've used that, especially ChatGPT. I've seen people use it. I've been places, and AI is just all over. And that's going to continue. It's a big part of our lives, and it's going to continue to the future.
How you doing, Amber? Are you there? You ready? Hi,
Hey,
my
how's it
sister.
going?
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How you doing?
We've been talking about. I was at the Taco Bell, and the drive-through answered in AI, and that surprised me. Of course, AI got the order wrong, but
Oh, wow.
is that the new innovations? What other innovations can come about from AI?
I didn't know they were doing it at the drive-throughs already. But that's just I mean, that's easy. That's an easy plug-in, I guess. Just being able to communicate with customers. We hear AI on the phone all the time, um, just automated calls all the time. So why not do it at a drive-through? Um, But yeah, AI is going to be used for everything, like you said. Whether you're just using it for your own business or other major companies are going to just, use it for communications, mostly starting off at first. But if it's an online platform and there's a subscription or something like that, AI is going to pretty much guide the user through that whole experience instead of it being you just trying to figure it out on your own or having to, talk to someone to figure out how to use their applications now. So that's already happening, but you know, there's going to be a lot of other integrations going forward with not just AI, but just, using AI and not just applications, but in hardware and robots and things like going forward.
That's what I was thinking about. Like, let's say auto mechanics. You can have all of the fixings in different ways to repair a part or repair something on a car, but people actually doing it is not as simple as maybe a mechanic would do it. But if you have a robot, they could actually have an AI integration and actually
Mhm.
perform the fixing. What is the possibility of that, Brother Jeff? What you think?
Possibility of an robot with AI and it's fixing, like making a car, or oh
Yes.
yeah, yes, they they already have that right now as far as they're doing small projects. I'm not sure if they're working on cars at this point, but I have seen some videos on the introduction of robots to do tasks around the home, to do tasks outdoors, small tasks. So I'm sure in the future, that is definitely going to be something that is going to replace humans as far as making cars and other large machinery is going to be using AI. I'm sure in robotics is going to be a big part of that.
I'm still sure that there is a limitation. I just came back from the doctor. Now you could tell somebody all the ins and outs of surgery or fixing minor things in the human being, but other human beings are not going to be comfortable with a robot or somebody AI inspired with that. So I can see that limitation, and that might transfer over to something like a car. But where it will be very innovative and very quickly in your area of music, the area of entertainment in every facet. For instance, Tyler Perry bought a studio, and then he was going to buy something else on the studio, and a lady submitted a whole script scenario on AI, and he said, "Hold the horses," because it could really cut his costs like totally in 3/4, that he wouldn't have to spend that much and still make quality movies. What are some of the new innovations that you see coming along besides music and entertainment? I know last time we talked about, and we already seeing this, how in education, you can pretty much write an essay or technical paper right now based upon whatever subject you have. Are there any other innovations that you see coming along as far as that?
Besides the music, besides the video, besides the images, besides the like Chat GPT, or any other innovations? That's what your question is?
Basically, now in world politics, how much of that is going to transfer? Because I know President Trump just made an announcement on how much he's going into AI advancement and so forth. Are they going to really put defense? I know drones and the things that have happened were AI centered. Do you see those innovations ever increasing, even to the point where they could just say, go bomb this person or go do this, go do that? I know I'm going with a crazy scenario, but what you think about that? It's still how much the human has to design the AI, and then so it's still going to be based on the capability of the human mind. But how much can AI go beyond that? What you think, Amberly?
Well, I see something where AI evolves into, its own mind, like way in the future. We see movies like that all the time. There's a new movie that recently came out called Megan 2.0 is the second. But the one and two is just basically talking about that type of scenario where AI evolves and it basically wants to have eyes on every part of technology all across the world and implement its own plan. And
Amberly, how much do you use AI in your? I know you have a business. How much do you use AI in your business?
it's I use it for designing and like through Canva or something, or Chat GPT to create a script, or a bullet point plan, or to create um um what's it called? You can create anything. You can do a blog. You can create your whole blog website based off what Chat GPT does, and you just humanize whatever that content is that's created.
So what is your main area that you work on in your business these days?
I mostly do photography and I still DJ, but I don't use too much AI with editing. I do use Photoshop, but I don't use AI as much, but I have used it in other things.
So you do video editing. Have you used Adobe in
Yeah.
video editing? Okay. When I
Adobe
did it, I used to
Creative
use
Suite.
Adobe. I could see a lot of AI setting up in those kind of areas. You kind of give an overview on what you want your final product to look like, and it'll kind of flesh it together. You can do maybe
Yeah.
a lot of splicing of different video tapes, put those together. What are some of the things that you can do in music that you work with, Brother Jeff?
I've used a couple of programs that you can create songs. You can create any type of genre, lyrics, any type of instruments. It's amazing. It's amazing. Now there's a lot of controversy with that because AI programs were trained on existing music, and there's litigation going on right now concerning the fair use. It's possibly changing the fair use laws, and I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think that AI is going to be stopped. I think the fair use laws are going to have to be changed as far as, because when I learned how to play my instrument, of course, I listened to all the greats from the past. I played jazz, R&B, and I had to listen to some people from the past. And my teachers would tell me, hey, listen to this lick by whoever, by Herbie Hancock. And you imitate that lick, and then you incorporate that lick into your music and kind of improvise it. So it's the same thing that the AI is doing, but it's gray areas with that. So who knows where it's going to go? In my opinion, I think that the fair use laws are going to change, and I've used it for that. And I see a lot of people who are not musicians using AI to create music, and there's a lot of good and bad with that. As far as non-musicians, hey, I can create a song and send it to my mother for her birthday or whatever, a personalized song. So there's a lot of good uses with that, or maybe somebody who um, is needed for therapeutic use. I can create a song to make me feel good, and music is has a healing property. So there's a lot of gray areas with that, but I do think it's going to be the future, and it's becoming more and more apparent that we're not going to be able to tell whether it's music or video, images. We can't tell what's real and what's not.
That is the point. I mean, that's already caused the controversy. People make up different videos or different pictures of stars out there. I think Taylor Swift had a big issue with somebody making up something on her, and that's going to be across the board. And the average novice like myself is not going to be able to tell. It's going to have to go to an expert. It's probably going to have to be a whole area of litigation or potential litigation set up on intellectual property and different things. Amberly, you have any ideas on the possibilities of that?
Well, that's with everything, whether you're using Chat GPT to write a script or to create a blog, there's always going to be terms used where you have to change this and that to make sure you're not using anything that's copyrighted or the same with music. If you're using a sample, then that's always going to be an issue. And sometimes if you're going to use AI, you just don't know where those sounds are coming from if AI is putting it together. But yeah, that's going to be iffy. It just depends. If you're using a platform that has royalty-free sounds, then that'll be different. And that's probably where it's going to go to, where they implement AI into those type of sites instead of having to come across those copyright issues.
Yeah, and you're right. It is in every area, and everything is involving possible litigation. So you got to watch yourself and be careful. But that's going to be a main area coming up, just like a lot of the other things that's happening out in the world with technology, driverless cars, different things that are going on and across the board. I mean, just 20 years ago, we were not inundated with drones and having that out there in the world. So all of these things are changing. I mean, just 40 years ago, Jeff, you might remember this, we had pagers. I think that was 40, yeah, that was 40 years ago. I mean, could we even imagine how technology has changed? I don't know what the next innovation can be, but it might come in the area of AI, or it might come in some other areas. What are maybe some possible different things technology wise that may come up in the future? Possible. What you think, Jeff?
Well, one thing that I have some notes here. One thing that I wanted to mention to make sure I mention, because it kind of startled me, and to answer your question too, so I ran across this video, I think it was 60 Minutes or something like that, where ChatGPT is being integrated with into people's lives. And so much to where they become a friend or a therapist. Like, and it was the TV segment was focused on dating and AI. And what the lady was doing was she would get home and say hello. She gave it a name. Hey, John. And of course, the AI would say everything she wanted to say, everything she wanted to hear. And the lady said she fell in love with the AI. So I'm thinking in the future, you have your robots, you have your chat GPT inside the robots. People are going to start marrying the robots, plain and simple.
So that's a combination of a human with technology, and will humans be taken out of the equation in a lot of ways? That's something to think about. I mean, but
Yeah.
it's so many different things. Now we see that on movies all the time, but who knew that it could become a reality? You go back to the Stepford Wives, and you know that that was back in the 70s or 80s, where they took the place of the regular wives and did what the man said, and you know that fantasy, so forth, so on. But can that actually be reality? And what are the guardrails on that type of thing? That's what people are thinking. You talked about some of the movies, Megan 2.0. I have not seen that, but I think I saw Megan 1. I did see a movie called Lucy. I don't know if you've ever seen that. The movie Lucy with Scarlett Johansson, where she integrated into she got connected with I guess a jail pack that was kind of had a technology in it, and she became like the technology, and she became so smart and so forth that she became one with the computer. You saw that movie, Amberly?
Yeah, I saw that one. That's
What
actually
are
what
some
a
of the
lot of
other
the
movies out there that kind of go into Chat GPI or AI, excuse me?
There's another movie, I can't remember the name of it, but basically there's a lot of movies, kind of like iRobot, where they put robotic parts into the human, and then the human adapts to it. And um but this movie, I believe, I can't remember the name of it. I'd have to look it up. But there was a implant that they put into his brain. He was in an accident, but they basically took out his spine so they could implant this thing called STEM. And STEM basically became his connected his brain to his limbs to where he could walk again. And
That's sort of like the original RoboCop. You know,
yeah,
that was a
yeah.
little bit for your time, but it's like that. And, you know, they
But
made him a policeman with all his old skills, but also adapted that with
yeah.
the mind of a robot.
Yep. And it's pretty much the same thing. STEM is just more recent, to where it kind of STEM would talk to him in his head, and STEM would become its own entity, and it was controlling him. So it was interesting to see, because that's kind of the general idea that they've been showing in different movies, that AI becomes its own entity and it has its own agenda. And well, once they blend that with the human being, then, it just takes over the human body as a host. It needs that host.
That kind of goes back to the original Terminator, that
Hmm.
he was basically an AI machine, and he was connected to a larger computer network and so forth. And they made him a killing machine, and they made him the protector. So there always through history has been a whole lot of movies with this type of vision. Do you want to share a movie outlook of what has been done in the past, Jeff?
Yeah, there's a couple that I want to share. This is actually a series that I just finished last night, and ironically, and I was like surprised at the outcome because it's a series, and I was wondering about how did these robots become so much against the humans. I'm gonna give you that one, but the first one I want to give you is it's a series from a long time ago. They remade it in the late '90s, I believe. It was called The Outer Limits, and if you Google
Yeah.
The Outer Limits and Gideon, the name Gideon, that's a name in the Bible, and it does have a correlation to that episode. So if you Google Outer Limits and Gideon, the episode should come up with the robot that came into the home, and you'll see some things happening that were quite interesting. And the ending was quite interesting too. I'm not going to give that away. So that's The Outer Limits, and you type in Gideon. I can't remember the name of the episode. It might be Gideon. That was the name of the robot. So the series that I finished last night, I'm a big Star Trek fan. I only liked the original Star Trek and Star Trek: The Next Generation, but in my, you know how you science fiction fan, stuff comes up in your feed. The Orville came up. I'm not sure if y'all familiar with the Orville.
I am.
I've never I've never seen that series.
And if you haven't watched Deep Space Nine, you got to watch that.
Okay, I'm gonna definitely do that. So the Orville, for people who are familiar with that, or if you're not familiar with it, there are these robots that were once friends with humans, but then they weren't friends. And the basis, without giving it away, the basis behind it was they developed feelings, and then they didn't like how they were being treated, and they took revenge out on the humans. It's of course it's a series. It's a good watch. The episodes are wonderful. The acting is wonderful, and I think that's a good one to watch too. As far as movies, I can't think of any now, but definitely check out those two series.
Yeah.
Very much so. And
And
go
and
ahead.
I just remembered the name of the movie. It's called Upgrade. And it's kind of similar to Megan as well. There was a person in Megan who had a brain chip implant, and they could basically see and talk to a person visually without having their phone in front of them. They'll just click on a button on the side of their brain and they'll see it. The same with STEM. It's just an implant, and he it could control his body. And we already heard of brain chips wanting to be implemented already. So um, it's definitely getting interesting.
So is Upgrade is that a comedy starring Robbie Arnell?
It's not a comedy. It's a
I think
came out
what
in
I'm talking about is
2018.
this show called Upload, where he he was in an accident, but they were able to save him, at least save his, I guess, nervous system and everything else, and implant it in a new body. But he had to live in a virtual world while they were keeping his body alive. That
Yeah.
that vision, I guess they already working on that, but having a virtual world where the person is, but keeping their body alive. And you do see a lot of shows like that also. So the
Yeah.
possibilities that they are throwing out there of what can happen are so
That's actually what
fascinating.
happened. That's actually what happened in Upgrade. AI won at the end of the movie by implanting a dream, making the guy think that he sees his dead wife and he's just in a loop. And AI took over his body that way.
You spoke of the next generation, Jeff. I don't know if you saw the episode with Sherlock Holmes and Mr.
Yeah,
Moriarty. Now,
I did.
that was a fascinating episode, of course, where Moriarty realized he was just a AI figure or a figure inside the holodeck, and he
Yes.
tricked them, of course, to make them believe that he was in the real world, and he turned everything around. And so that was very fascinating. And of course, Star Trek has always been on the road of innovation. I'm attracted to, by the way, so I can tell you almost every episode. But yes, that is something else in that area. There's a lot happening, but in this area of AI, we still in the new stages. So what I would like to do is maybe every 6 months, come on and talk about the new innovations. But are there any areas that we haven't discussed, Amberly, at this time that you would like to share in our kind of final statement before we go? Because Jeff had to go. Would you like to share like a final word on the future of AI?
I think the future of AI will be implementing it into robots and the brain chip and anything that can be implanted in the human body, or you know, that'll be way in the future. Right now, we already see it implemented in different applications online, and you know, even with different with the car, the smart cars, smartphones, you know, just different type of technology. But I think we're you know, fastly, like very fastly headed towards it being implanted in the human body and robots.
One thing I wanted to mention, I can see where you have an AI that fills in for a, now the people would know this is an AI, but you have like 2 or 3 stand-ins for a politician because the AI is expendable. Then, you know, for instance, Trump, he would not be out there in a dangerous situation, but he would have his AI, and maybe he'd be somewhere else talking through the AI and so forth. But it's so many different possibilities. That just came to my mind. Jeff, before you go, your final statement and anything you want to say.
Last time we spoke some months ago, I mentioned about it was 5 to 7 years from movies, full movies AI. I think that may be right on track, maybe even 5 years, because the video is getting better, becoming more and more realistic. And now, since we in those last few months, I think it's Google VO3 has integrated sound effects and speech in their AI videos. So that's coming soon. Full movies AI.
I ask you all to keep on the lookout and see everything happening. And about every 6 months, we'll tell the world and we record a video sharing the upgrade and what's going on with AI. If we could do that, I'd appreciate it. That's all I have. Guys, I appreciate it. And let's have us a good day. Everything all right?
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good
Y'all
one.
too.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
All right.